All right, Kyle, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kyle. Glad to be here.
Heck yeah. No, we're going to have a good time. We're going to share a lot of, experiences, right? Knowledge that we have because we all have some no matter where we are in real estate, where we come from and where we're going. So I want to hit on all those different topics. Me and you, we haven't really known each other for a while, right?
Not very
I
long.
just reached out to you,
Mhm.
I think a week or two ago.
Yeah, about a week. Yeah.
Right? We've had one conversation, but I'm super excited because I really wanted to have somebody come on that is they're trying to get started in real estate. They might have some experience already, right? You have a lot of information to leverage. And from our first conversation, which, we'll get into some more important stuff here,
Mhm.
you're quite the quick learner. So I'm super excited to have this conversation. So
Yeah.
awesome. What I want to start off with is, where do you feel in real estate? What are you doing right now?
What am I doing right now? Man, chasing the shiny object syndrome, something awful. So right now I'm kind of focusing on trying to generate a lead for my first deal. Just that first one. I just want to get that done and out of the way so that I can feel credible, I guess, if you will. Just to
That's
say
real.
I've done it. Like it is possible. Like I know it's possible. Of course, you see everybody do it, but to have that tangible experience for yourself. So right now, I've been working foreclosures. I've been working retired landlord lists, vacant properties, everything in my area. Just trying to find somebody who's got the right deal. So
Got it. Okay. Well, and so it sounds like, in other words, right? Like it's a proof of concept
more or
for
less,
you personally, right?
Yeah, for my own
because
proof.
that's an important part, right? Like, because there's lots of times we can see tons of people out in the world that, oh my gosh, Elon Musk did this, right? Or, that's an extreme example, right? And there's a lot of other people that have been investing in real estate,
Right.
but there's always that question of, okay, is it possible? I think most of us are like, yes, it is, but is it possible for me?
Exactly.
Right. And there's confidence that comes with that.
Exactly. Which that confidence just makes it easier to talk to other professionals in the field, real estate agents, things like that. That's where like I'm confident I can do it, but that tangible proof of concept, if you will, gives you that extra confidence to just relax, I guess.
Right. Well, because you do have confidence, but what you have confidence in is confidence in yourself based on the experience that you have had up to this point, right? Correct. So you look back at yourself, I'm assuming you're like, hey, I'm a hard worker, right? Like I'm willing to put in the work because I do this, I work all day. Like look at the hours I put in, right? And I'm willing to grind it out if I need to, like, so if you've done those type of things in the past, right, you have confidence in yourself that, oh, the workload isn't going to stop me. Right.
Yep.
So there's different pieces to it. Right. So now that we've touched on that, right, okay, this workload, it's going to take a certain amount of workload. Definitely. What is your workload right now? What's going on in your life, right? Are you putting in, tons of hours into real estate to try to get this done? Do you have some limiting factors? What's your story?
So obviously I work a full-time job. I work roughly 40, 45 hours a week at a full-time job. I have 3 kids. So there's all the fun that comes along with that, homeowner as well. So you got all these different things. So those are my limiting factors as far as my amount of time I can put towards real estate. My weeks vary. I mean, some weeks I have a lot of extra time and I'm putting in, 10 to 15, maybe 20 hours extra in a week across the whole week. And then there's some weeks I'm probably in the 5-hour category, just depending on how it goes. But I try to always do a little bit of something every day, even if it's just a little bit of Facebook contacting or a little bit of market research or something. I always try to do at least, even if it's 20 minutes, I try to do something, jump on and do a course or something, watch a video of PACE just to kind of learn more about it to just always have that on my mind. So it's just always there. Because I think if you kind of step away for any period of time, it's like the gym. I'll skip today, and before you know it, 2 weeks go by and you ain't been, right?
Yeah, you're speaking my language sometimes on that, unfortunately. And a lot of people talk about like it's like the campfire, right?
Yeah.
When you're in it, you're doing it every day, you're staying close to that campfire, you're feeling that warmth.
Yeah.
And the moment you like stop, hey, you've taken, you've stepped away from the campfire, and now your motivation drops, right? You're kind of cold. You still look and like desire it, but it's going to take that much more to like, get back over there. Yep, right. Definitely.
So
very, very interesting.
Making new connections like this really helped me with that motivation personally. Like I have a day where I'm like, man, this is just like, what in the world? I feel like I'm getting nowhere. And then the next day I'll meet somebody and talk to them, and they just invigorate you and just get you excited about it. So that's the other thing I always try to do. I try to do at least one meet a week, just kind of keep that extra.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Would you say, is that where you think you get most of your motivation from, connecting with others?
Probably. Yeah. Honestly. I mean, I have my own motivation just because I want to change in my life and for my family. But as far as like the motivation to just keep grinding and just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying is talking to other people, and just, you get that motivation from them. I don't know what it is, but it's just, when you talk to somebody like-minded, it helps.
Absolutely. I was just mentioning to you before we started the podcast, right, that I had a real estate mastermind that I went to for 3 days up in Sedona, Arizona. It was Matt Beard that put it on. And it was actually the first mastermind that I've ever been to. I've been to lots of conferences, but mastermind just being a little different, surrounding myself with people, high-level people, right, that are getting stuff done, and that I could run my business by them, right, and they could give me good feedback. But I could feel energy, right, from these people, and I would force myself to go and talk to them, and I'm like, okay, no, I need to know these people. So I came back with some pretty cool relationships with some good friends, and I think you're very smart. People underplay it, right, how powerful relationships are and how much motivation we actually get from them. The other thing you mentioned, go ahead.
Just the connections you get from it. To have, when you make that good connection with somebody, you become friends, true friends, not just an acquaintance or something like that. When you're truly friends, that you've gone through a 3-day experience together, it creates a bond. It really does. And to have those connections, you never know. It may be a year from now, but you'll have hey, we were hanging out and something happened, and you needed something, and they knew somebody that's had the solve to that. Like, it's, Pace talks about that.
Absolutely.
It happens every day in my life, all the time. Random.
Yep. And even when you network, such a short amount of time, it's not enough to be kind of vulnerable, right? And sometimes sharing that vulnerable and what your obstacles and challenges are make you feel more real, and people can connect with you, and it makes them want to help you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's great. A great goal to have, to meet with new people, every week. Now, the other thing I want to unpack is you briefly mentioned Pace. I'm assuming, right? Pace Morby.
Yes.
Right. So for some of the subscribers, right, and listeners here might not know who Pace is. But right, I mean, who is Pace? Give me a quick little rundown of who he is.
So Pace is Pace Morby. He is the founder, CEO, if you will, of Sub2. It is what would you call it? A group, mentorship, and a community that is all about real estate investment as a whole, but more specifically acquiring properties via subject to its existing mortgage. It's just a different way for people to get into real estate. Usually requires a little less liquid cash immediate, and it just, I don't know, I like it. So that's what I went after.
Yeah, there's different acquisition strategies out there, right?
Yeah.
I do a bunch of fix and flips. I do buy houses subject to and seller financing, right? And so that's what Pace Morby is known for, right? That type of acquisition strategy. And so you're part of that community, which is why you bring that up. So your business, which perfectly lines into where I want this to go, right? We kind of talked about the effort, some of the actions that you're doing. Oh, okay. I'm pulling lists. I'm calling, right?
Yeah.
So who are you trying to call?
I've talked to some agents. I've done direct to seller stuff. So I've contacted like a handful of people that are like selling their house on their own on Zillow, just trying to get the feel of where they at, like what's their interest in selling, why do they want to sell, just trying to get that connection. Talked to a handful of different real estate agents. I haven't had too much luck in that direction just as of yet, but I just haven't found the right one yet, and that it will happen. Sure. It takes one. But
good attitude. So direct to agent, direct to seller, right? Two different methods as well on trying to get deals, right? And because you being in the community, I'm assuming you're trying to get subject to and creative type of deal, right? So that's your acquisition strategy.
Correct.
Okay, so that makes sense. Real quick, so dumb it down for me, okay? Especially for people listening, because they're probably smarter than me. So if we dumb it down to my level, we'll be okay. When you say buy something subject to, right? What does that mean?
So when somebody goes to sell a house, a lot of times they have an existing mortgage in place, and I'm purchasing it in a way that I'm just taking over their mortgage without my name going on it. I'm leaving their name on it, and I'm making payments in their stead, and I then transfer the deed to myself, but I still have their lien on the title.
Got it. Okay, so you do buy the house. Yep. You're not. It's not like a car where, like, yes, we say we own the car, but you don't really have the title, right? Yeah. Like until the end, like you're getting title, right? Owner the deed to the property. So you own the house, but the mortgage, right, is staying in their name. And so it's kind of like a non-traditional assumption, right?
Yep.
Not necessarily going through bank approval or anything, and actually assuming it, but kind of just in contracts, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it's a contract stating that you're purchasing the project or the property subject to its existing mortgage, but yet you're still taking deed. So it's simple as it gets. I mean,
now, and I'll put you on the spot here.
Yep.
Okay. What would be the main benefit, right? Either one or two benefits to why would a seller want to do that?
One is if they don't have much equity, they're able to still sell the property, potentially still get money, depending on the scenario. Whereas if they would have sold it traditionally, by the time they pay real estate fees and all the different things, they're probably going to be in the hole. So for them, the benefit would be that they can actually move out of a property that maybe they've got something else, a job or something that's requiring them to go somewhere else, but they just bought their house 6 months ago. There's no equity there. So they could sell it subject to maybe come out with a couple $1,000 of the equity that they had and not have to be out $20,000-$30,000 trying to sell it a traditional way.
Okay, gotcha. So basically, it's saving on fees. Is the difference?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now there's still closing costs, right? Because the house is being sold, right? Yep. Are they saving on agent fees?
Depends on if they already have it listed. Sometimes you still have to pay the agent fees. Sometimes you work with the agent and work out something different for them because there's not much equity there. Just all depends on the scenario.
Got it. Okay. Now, and will people possibly pay more just to take over the loan?
Yeah. I mean, especially if it's a good loan, because the other benefit would be it's got a low interest rate. Current interest rates are 7%, maybe higher right now. I haven't really looked at the new ones yet.
Brutal.
But I mean, say you're purchasing one from a year and a half ago at 3%. So you're willing to pay a little extra above and beyond its actual value because you're taking on a very attractive mortgage. Right.
So you're buying two things. You're buying the house, and then the seller has something else that's valuable, and that would be a low interest rate loan.
Yep.
Right. Definitely. And you're saying, okay, here's the value for the house. If you give me that loan, I can pay more.
Yep.
Right. And then you try to save these too. Right. Yep. So obviously that would work for just specific people. But okay, so that's the acquisition strategy that you're going with.
Yep.
That you feel the most comfortable with. So okay, so that's what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You might not have even put any thought into this. Where do you want to be in 5 years?
I've put plenty of thought into that. It's hard to
Oh,
say
okay. Yeah.
where I'd like to be. I'd like to be out of my full-time job. I'd like to be full-time investing. I would love to be in the multifamily category. That's where I think I'd like to direct to.
Okay.
10 doors or more on a single property. That's where I would like to move my direction to. But small bites at a time. I want to do a couple of little single families, kind of get my feet wet. So in 5 years, I would picture myself north of 100 doors would be the goal, and just kind of let it evolve from there. But biggest thing is to be out of my W-2, so I have control of my life. I get to be the visionary in my story and control it more, not so much having to answer to somebody else, because I have 3 kids. I want to be able to enjoy what they have going on more. I don't want to have to, we have to plan this around my lunch break so I can go, or, hey, I got to take my lunch late so I can go see my kids this or that, or whatever it is, I just want to have my control back so I can enjoy my family and my time. So that's
absolutely.
That's the big goal.
I love that. Yeah, that's there's some freedom to that, right? Yeah. And designing your life how you want it. Yeah. It doesn't necessarily mean less work, right? Which is not what you were saying. In fact, a lot of times more.
Yeah.
Right. But it's crazy. I can tell you from my personal experience, right? Like, man, I wake up early. I wake up earlier than I would for any other job. And I'm getting working, and then at night, right? I mean, it's 7:30 at night right now here in Arizona, right? And we're doing a podcast, and I'm looking over here. I have a list of stuff I got to do, right? So when I'm done with this, like, I'm going to be up, right, for the next probably 2-3 hours just getting stuff done, and that's okay, because I spend some time with my kids that you're talking about, right? With my wife and family. And it's cool because you can design it how you want. So I want that for you. I think you got your good head on your shoulders, man. I think it's great. And I think you can get 100 doors in 5 years. I think that's very doable with, like you said. So, because how long have you even been trying to start this real estate thing?
So I've been interested in real estate for the better part of 5 years. Super active with it, like really trying. I'm at almost a month. On the 1st will be a month. So I started heavy at it August 1st, joined sub 2, started making my connections, started making my calls, started really digging deep into everything to try to make something happen. It's been a month. I've made a lot of amazing connections with a bunch of people, and the deal will fall. It'll happen one day. It's just finding it.
Absolutely. And now you're famous on a podcast already.
Right?
Well, we'll see. I can't promise.
Everybody's starstruck right now. They don't even know what's
this. I'm letting you know this will be on the internet forever.
Man, like we said, we're making our clones.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. People are going to listen to this in the future, right? Yep. And it will be so cool to see where we were, both of us, right? Yep. And see where we've ended up, right? And what we've been able to accomplish, and the people that we've been able to help. So I think that's absolutely amazing. Yep. Now, let's see, a couple follow-up questions I wanted to ask so to leave your job, what does that look like? What do you have to leave?
So to leave comfortably, knowing that, like, hey, if I just stepped back and did nothing, I'd be fine. It would probably be somewhere around 20 doors, 25 doors. Just kind of rough numbers guessing, that's what it would be.
Right, but you got a number that you know you kind of need, right? And it could be like, if you end up getting single families and then throw some multifamily in there, might speed it up, right?
Yeah.
If you end up going towards that route.
That would be trying to leave my job solely on passive income. I'm also trying to work wholesale marketing and stuff like that, trying to do more active earning to see if I can subsidize that a little quicker.
If you make enough wholesaling, do you leave, or do you need that passive income before you feel comfortable?
depends on how comfortable I feel on how sustainable that active income is.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair, right? You start to, your skill set grows and your confidence, right? We've talked about that before. Your confidence on that you can keep acquiring these deals, right? And how easy it is to find them and sell them.
Correct.
Right? To guarantee you that income goes up over time. Right?
Yep.
So absolutely, right? And so that's kind of similar with me. With mine was the house flipping, right?
Yeah.
It's, we do rentals and we do the other stuff, right? But like, I gained a certain amount of confidence from flipping over and over. I'm like, okay, I can find another flip, right? I can find another one, right? And earn that money. So
I don't want to get stuck in the wholesale hamster wheel either, though. I don't want to,
and that's important. If you notice, go ahead.
I don't want to be so dependent upon wholesale that I just end up selling myself out to wholesale and just have to continue wholesale and wholesale and wholesale and wholesale, and then I can't build the legacy, the passive income that could later retire me.
Okay. Does wholesaling stop if you get enough passive for you?
Probably not. I don't know that wholesaling truly ever.
It's not planned.
It just maybe moves in a different direction. So wholesale is kind of one of those things. I think it's always there. You come into deals that it's a good deal, but maybe it's not what you want. You're going to wholesale it. You're not going to just like, no, I don't want it. I'm not going to touch it. You're going to wholesale it. You're going to make a valid point on it. So I think I don't really think that there's any point where wholesale will stop until I'm like, I don't know when that number is. You'd have to reach a point where the income from passive is so good that you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I guess that'd be retirement.
And I don't even care about making more money, right?
Yeah,
off of the, the excess. Right? That's from your business.
But we'll see.
Got it. Okay. No, fascinating, right? Because I do think, some listeners and viewers, right, might be like, oh, like, I want to get into wholesaling, right? And they think that's the eternal thing. And for some people it is, right? Some people, that's the business they grow, and and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. There's people that make a ton of money just wholesaling and don't want to do with tenants. Right?
Yep.
So everyone can design this how you want.
Yep. That's the shiny object syndrome of the real estate world. Is there is so many different directions you could go about this and do very well for yourself in any of them. Just depends on what fits you. Everybody's different,
Yep. There might be someone listening to this podcast that's like, hey, what's creative financing? And we've been able to explain the basics. And hey, we'll put Pace Morbies and of course, your information right down below, because it's like, hey, they might be like, that might be for me. Or maybe that's the cash deals, right? Or maybe it's house flipping, or right. They will be able to find what they are looking for, just like you are, zooming in, right? Narrowing it down on what you feel like is your vibe and how you would like your life to be, right?
Definitely.
So first off, I commend you for it. I think it's fantastic. I think right now is such an exciting time for you, right? A month in, you've made some big decisions, some big commitments, and your actions are going right in line with that.
Yep.
Right. And it would be unreasonable to say that you're not going to get a deal after, a certain amount of time. I mean, you'll have to decide what that amount of time would be, but you get deal if you do the work.
Yep.
Right. The deals come.
Correct.
Right. It's people being inconsistent. Right. So I am super excited for you for that. Okay. So the next question I have is, okay, what's your biggest challenge then right now? You've mentioned, is it time? Because we've talked about time. Is it knowledge? Because you've been in the game for a month. What is your biggest challenge?
I think my biggest challenge right now is I live in a small market that I'm working. So it's picking the correct strategy that's going to work. It's like, okay, so a lot of people will pick foreclosure lists. That's going to be their strategy. Some people will pick vacant homes. That's their strategy. Depends on your market. Well, my particular market, in order to get a good list of 300 homes, I have to hit every single one of those to try to get, because it's a numbers game,
Right.
1 out of 100 is going to be the right deal. Whatever it is, whatever that number is, you've got to find it. So for me, my struggle has been trying to learn all these different acquisition strategies simultaneously to try to find
in a short amount of time.
Yeah. So that's kind of been a challenge. It's something I'm assessing and trying to decide if it's worth continuing or if I need to do a remote market and try to hit something bigger so that I can pick one strategy, focus on it, and go. So that's been my probably about the last week, 2 weeks. I've really been weighing the odds of, okay, do I just stick with it because I really want to be in the market I'm in. I want to invest in the community I'm in. I want to be a part of that. So I want to be able to, you buy homes, you rent them out, you reinvest in your community as far as that goes. You provide housing, you do different things. I want to be a part of that in my community. So
Absolutely.
That is something I want to do, but I'm thinking I need to maybe step back and come back to that, but go find that first deal somewhere else. It's kind of,
I think that's a great point. I think, I think when I think about it, right, I think that is very pivotal, right? Yeah. I think you should think deep about that. I think, right, you mentioned the shiny object syndrome early on, right? Yeah. Which is, oh, what should I do this? I'll do this. I'll do that, right? Like yours is, most people, it's like, oh, we can't focus and everything seems awesome, so let's run around and let's do it all. Yours is a little bit different, right? It's almost like it's being forced by where you live and the constraints that you have on you.
Correct.
But to me, you just said something that kind of empowered you, right? You're like, no, even though I feel that way, I still can control what I want to do. So I can choose to do these different things, or go to a different market, or not necessarily go and leave. It can be adding additional markets. So whatever strategy you're going to do, if it's direct to agent, direct to seller, foreclosures, whatever, you could stick to that one and where you'll still get deals where you're at, but also other places.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So something to do just because it's more leads, right? You're just adding more leads to it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I kind of
just a thought, you know. But you're right in the seat, which I love. So okay, so that's your biggest challenge. So who knows? Maybe there's somebody listening, right? Tuning in, and they'll be like, hey, I like Kyle, which I didn't mention, of course. We have the same name, so we're both pretty cool.
How awesome is that?
Exactly. But there could be somebody listening that's like, hey, the guest, Kyle, right? It's like, oh, I could help him. Yeah. Right? I have this, right? Oh, I want to connect with him, so I think getting on here, right? You're connecting with even more people, right? So, okay. A few more questions and then we'll be done here. Excuse me. I want to ask, I'm gonna say the three things that I'm gonna ask just to give you a little bit more time to think about it. Okay.
All right.
So I like to ask people, okay, because for our listeners, right, and watchers, is there a book, okay, that you've read that you'd recommend, that's either had a change, right, that helped change you or put you on the right path? That's the first one. Is there a podcast or YouTube channel that you would recommend for anyone that's wanting to elevate their game? And lastly, is there a person, whether it be an influencer or someone that they can follow, right, that you'd recommend? Right? So book, podcast, or YouTube, and a follower.
So a book. There's one I read a while back, and it applies to me more now. I need to go back and read it again, but it's called The 4-Hour Work Week. You put me on the spot. I don't know who wrote it. I can't think off the top of my head who wrote it, but it was an amazing eye opener as far as, I guess, delegating work would be the proper way, I guess, to put it. But that book was monumental to getting me to where I'm at now, because it changed my mindset a little bit and changed the way I looked at things just enough. Let's see, what was the other one? Podcast or YouTube?
Yep.
Sam Prim on YouTube. He pushes Burr method. That's his acquisition strategy. So
Okay.
buy, rehab, rent, refinance.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's a different strategy. That's what got me my eyes open to acquiring property without money. So he uses other people's money to purchase houses cash, refinances out, and pays them back.
Okay.
So he has a short period of time that he has their money for. That started this whole thing because originally when I was interested in real estate, the biggest thing that held me back was the funds to acquire a property, to be able to have that 20% or more, maybe, because maybe buying a house that's not financeable at the point. You're buying one that's a fixer, and you have to buy it all cash. And that was it was a daunting task. So when I saw his videos, that changed my outlook on that. So Sam Prim, he's on YouTube.
How cool is that though, right? Like, even though that doesn't match the exact strategy that you are choosing to use now, right? How cool is it, right? When we learn things like in different spheres, right?
Yep.
That it can be applicable in what we're trying to do.
Exactly. Yep. So he's on all social media platforms and all that.
Okay.
And remind me again.
You're gonna have to pick somebody else though, because you used Sam for the YouTube channel /podcast. So now you have to think of an individual, a person, and it could be an influencer, but someone that they can follow, right? So somewhere online that they can follow, that that you think either for you that has or could help somebody get started or take it to the next level.
You're putting me on the spot here, so I'm having to,
That's fine.
Phone a friend,
No problem.
That's
absolutely fine.
I have followed. Who is it? Where did they go? Let's go with. I like Kevin Cho because he's new to the game. It's Kevin Cho 12 is his Instagram handle. He's new to the game after I think he's been in it like a couple years now, but he's like, I don't know, he's just growing in leaps and bounds. I mean, he's already to like, I think he's 25 or 30 doors a year now or more that he's closing on. And that's just impressive to me. And he's who I'm following to kind of just learn things right now. So I would say Kevin Cho.
I love that because that's what we're all looking for. We're looking for people that we can relate to, right? You mentioned he hasn't been in that long, right? Yeah. I mean, you've been in kind of for a month or so, right? So it's like, oh, I can relate to that, right? I'm newer. He was newer. Okay, if I can be on that same sort of similar path, right? Like it's possible, right? It shows it's possible, and our belief expands, right? Correct. And so that's why I wanted to ask these three things, because I think all three of them are important to our growth, right? Our personal development, because our financial earnings never pass, right, what our personal growth is.
Yep.
Right? We're always capped with our personal growth. Correct. So it's the moment you are watching, say, Kevin Cho, and you're like, oh, okay, he can do this. I now believe it. You personally have grown to believe that you can do that too. So awesome. And I'm going to put all that in the notes right down below for this episode of the podcast. So thank you for that. So the last thing would just be, people might want to connect with you, right? Other new people, could be more advanced people, someone now, and where you say a small town. So, I mean, you can share it, you cannot share, that's up to you. But if you're trying to invest there,
Prescott, Arizona. So that's the market I'm kind of working now, is Prescott and Prescott Valley. I've been here for actually a very short amount of time. I've only lived here about 4 months.
Oh, wow. Super short.
Yeah, very short. But it's been like a perfect fit for my family and me. Like, we just love it here. It's been exactly what we were looking for. But yeah, so, I mean, you can get a hold of me on Facebook, just Kyle Higginbotham. I come up. I have a YouTube. There ain't nothing on it yet. Still working on that.
Coming soon, baby.
Coming soon. Yep. The podcast coming soon. All that. So I'm working on it all, little by little, learning, growing. But yeah, by all means, Facebook is probably the best way to get a hold of me right now. And let's connect. Whoever wants to talk, let's talk.
Beautiful, beautiful. So thank you so much for coming on. You have brought a lot of value to everyone that's listening, right? Whether that's just motivation, or maybe they think, oh, wow, look at the steps he's taking already, right? A month in, and he's getting on a podcast, right? And he's connected with all these people when, right, I was, a little more introverted, right? So it's like, man, I've been investing for a long time, but if only I would have reached out and connected with people right away, I can only imagine, right, what more we all, myself but all of us could accomplish. So thank you so much, Kyle. You have been fantastic. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you even better. So thank you for coming on. Hey. That's the end of the podcast, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Until next time, see you guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kyle.